Hello, teachers. I hope you've had a wonderful summer and that you're ready for the upcoming school year. My name is Kayla Manuel. I'm the School and Virtual Programs Coordinator here at Butterfly Pavilion, and I have some updates for you, some new things we're implementing for the school year, as well as I wanted to walk you through the process of what it's like to book a field trip with us. So for some of you, maybe you already know what this process is, but I want to make sure that everyone knows what's going on so they can go as smoothly as possible. So up first, let's get into our updates for the 2026-2027 school year. So I'm very excited about this one. We are moving to 30-minute class programs instead of 45 minutes. This is based on feedback I've gotten from you, plus my own observations that 45 minutes is a long time for kids to sit in a classroom, especially on a field trip. They want to get out and see the bugs. So we are really just cutting out that lecture time. We're going to minimize the amount of time that kids are just sitting there listening to us talk, and we're going to focus more on those experiential and interactive learning opportunities. And because we're going to 30-minute programs, that also means I'm able to get in a lot more class time. So you can see for this fall, I've got a lot of options for you. And then I'll be adding even more in March. During the fall, I only have 2 classrooms that I'm able to utilize, but I do get an extra space in March. So a lot more options for you. Hopefully that makes it easier for you to get your preferred class time. And then this isn't technically new, designated arrival times. That has always been a thing, but just to streamline the process and make sure that we start you off on the right foot, we are going to be doing only one group arrival in a certain time slot. So it'll be every 15 minutes, so 9, 9:15, 9:30, 9:45, and so on. Whether you've got 10 kids or 100, you will be the only person or the only group arriving in that time slot. This does mean that you're going to really have to pay attention to your confirmation emails. We make every effort to get you in your preferred arrival time, but we may have to tweak it a little bit just based on what we already have booked. It also means that if you're going to be running late, I would say more than 15 minutes, just give us a call, right? When I'm able to be flexible, I definitely want to do that for you. I understand if you're moving a group of kids from point A to point B, there are lots of things that can go wrong. So I get that. If you're running late, just give us a call. We'll work with you and we'll get you in. All right, a few reminders as well, just so that you know what's going on here at Butterfly Pavilion. We do not have an indoor lunch space. We do have a covered picnic area right outside of our gift shop. We also have other picnic tables around our campus. Most of them are in shady places. Also, if the weather is nice, you are welcome to just go sit out in the grass in our gardens and have a picnic. If the weather is really terrible, like it's pouring rain or it's 20 degrees outside, I will do everything I can to get you an indoor space to eat lunch. But I'm usually relying on my classroom space for that. So if I have classes in there, I can't kick those schools out. So again, I will do everything I can so that you have a nice space to eat inside if the weather is poor. But just keep that in mind, especially as we move into the winter time. That we may need to be a little more flexible about that. We may need to make some last minute tweaks, things like that. Also, this isn't new, but it's something, again, I've been very lax about it. Keeping the number of adults in the classroom to 10, excluding any paras or caregivers. If every student in the class needs one-on-one support, then we will make that work, right? We may just have to, depending on the number of students you have, we may have to split your group. I love that so many of you have a ton of parents who want to tag along on the field trips. That's fantastic. I love that. But there is the reality of how many people can I actually fit in my classroom. So we're going to keep it to max 10 adults. You as teachers, I'd say, pick your top 10 chaperones if you have a bunch of adults who are tagging along. For your extra adults, we can, work out like maybe a different arrival time for them, right? They show up after the class is done. Or they can go out and enjoy exhibits or the gardens on their own and then reconnect with their students after the class time. So if that is going to be a concern of yours, just let me know. I can work with you on that, help you manage that. Happy to help you do that. And then finally, as we have limited on-site bus parking, I only have 3 bus parking spaces in my parking lot. And if you're the only group that day, I'm happy. Please park on site. But if there are multiple groups coming, we may have to look at off-site bus parking. We do have a couple of locations where we can park within, I would say, 5-10 minute walking distance, either the Westin Hotel or the Veterans Memorial Park. So I will touch base with your bus drivers when you arrive, and we can kind of work out a plan. I'll let them know what their options are if they do have to park off-site. And then my final update, this is a very exciting one. Our Water's Edge exhibit is getting a full renovation. So it is going to be closed starting August 17th, reopening September 14th. But we are super excited because we're getting some new animals. The flagship animal for this exhibit is a giant Pacific octopus. We are so excited. This is going to be the biggest animal that Butterfly Pavilion has ever kept. And we're just so excited for this. They are wonderfully charismatic animals. They're fascinating. But we're also going to be getting deep sea isopods, moon jellies, sea nettles, fish-eating anemones, and lots of other fun aquatic invertebrates. So I am, if you're looking at a September field trip, I'm going to recommend that we come after Water's Edge opens. If that is not possible, you are certainly welcome to come for a field trip while Water's Edge is closed. All of our other exhibits will be open, but just know that the water exhibit will be closed during that time. All right, so that is all my updates for you. Let's go ahead and jump into the field trip booking process. So Butterfly Pavilion has a brand new website. It's beautiful. It's a lot easier to navigate than our old one. So this is our homepage. Up here at the top, if you go to Learn and then Field Trips, this will bring you to all the information that you need. So the Request button is right here. We'll get to that in a moment. But if you scroll on down, you can see all the information. Class descriptions are here, and then if you want to see the curriculum standards supported, you can open this up and take a look at that if that is information that you want or need. I also have some information about our add-ons. And then our capacity calendar. This is something that is currently reliant on me to manually update. So I typically update this every Friday, but it is at least a good planning tool if you want to check the dates and, like let's say I already had 300 students on September 22nd. We're not booking any more kids on that day, right? So that'll just let you know, hey, that date, not ideal. But it is going to be, this is something that is constantly updating. All right, if we come back up to our request a field trip form, it'll bring you into a Microsoft form. I'll click Start Now, and you will go through the process. I'm going to pop over to the back end so that you don't have to watch me type in everything to get through the form. But it's going to ask for, how did you hear about us? Put in your school or youth group name, your address, your county, type of school group that you are. We do field trips for everyone. Public school, private school, charters, homeschools, daycares, church groups, camp groups, all of the above. Doesn't matter to me. If it's applicable, put your school district in, and then your grade or grades of kids that are going to be on the field trip. And then if your organization is tax exempt, please let us know. I understand that you may not have your tax exemption number. So if you don't have that, just put a little note like I'll send it later, I'll email it later. That is not a problem. I understand that that's probably not information you just have laying around. Put in the primary contact. This is probably your information, but if you are booking on behalf of someone else, whoever needs to be that primary contact to receive the majority of communications. And then if you have another billing contact, like it needs to go to your school secretary, your school admin, just put that information in here. We can also update this after the fact. If you're unsure at the time, we can always add that later. And then about your visit, you're going to put in your top 3 dates. Again, every effort is made to get you on your first choice visit date. But if you put in, let's say you put in a date and I've already got 300 kids coming that day, we're going to bump you to your second choice. A little bit further down in the form, there is a section for notes. So like if you need us to check with you before booking your second or third choice, or you're like, I have zero flexibility here. This is the only day in the school year I can come visit. You can put that in there and we'll do our best to accommodate your needs. You'll put in the number of students that you're expecting. You will have the opportunity to update this a little bit closer to your field trip. So let's say you're booking for next March. You think you're going to have 60 kids. And then lo and behold, you only have 40. we will reach out to you a couple weeks before your visit to make sure we got that final number, right? But number of students you're expecting, number of chaperone adults. We do require a minimum ratio of 1 adult to every 10 kids, but we do offer $1 tickets for 1 adult for every 5 students so that you can, encourage you to have as many adults as possible, especially for younger students. If you have additional adults visiting, and if your school is paying for them. So if you have additional adults joining and you do not have the funding to do that, you can also direct those students, you can direct those adults to just purchase general admission tickets. And then that way, if they're using SNAP, if they're using a military discount, Westminster resident discount, anything like that, they can get those prices. But if you're paying for them, go ahead and add them on in here. And we can always adjust this after too. And then number of paras, caregivers, any sort of medical staff. So if you have a student or students who need one-on-one support, that is perfectly fine. They can attend for free. We just like to know how many we're expecting. Your preferred arrival time, again, top 3 choices. Do everything we can to get you your top one, but we do have may need some flexibility in there. And then what type of field trip are you requesting? So self-guided is just you and your students are exploring our exhibits at your own pace. And if you want to add on a facilitated class, you can do that. So if you want a facilitated class, you'll select which one you want. And again, back on the website, you can see all those descriptions and whatnot. So if you're unsure, what you want, you can also feel free to give me a call too. If you're not sure what you want to learn a little bit more about these programs, I'm happy to chat with you about that. And then we do have English and Spanish speaking educators. So if you need a Spanish speaking educator, just indicate that here. And then if you have any special notes about that, anything going on, just let us know. We have a lot of flexibility there. And then your first choice class times. So we do limit our classes to 50 students. So if you have more than 50, we're going to look at splitting them into multiple class sessions, typically back to back. But we can do them concurrently at the same time. I do have 2 classrooms in the fall, 3 in the spring. So we'll do everything we can to, again, get you that preferred class time, but just pay attention to your confirmation. If you're planning to eat lunch here, yes or no, we ask for your preferred lunchtime. This is if I'm building out custom schedules. I don't want to schedule you for a 12:30 lunch when your kids are used to eating at 10:45. All right. We do not want hangry kiddos running around Butterfly Pavilion. It's not going to be fun for anyone. So I will let you know if I'm going to be building out custom schedules. I'm trying to move away from that just because it is very time consuming. But in the meantime, just put in your preferred lunchtime. Your mode of transportation, so that I know what I'm waiting for, if I'm waiting for a school bus, a van, private cars, or anything like that. And then this is where you can put in any of those special notes. So if you need us to check with you before booking second choice, third choice dates, if you have any questions in here, any of that, feel free to just pop it right in here. Field trip add-ons. You do have the option to add a junior naturalist adventure guide for $3 a student. It is primarily geared towards 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, but it can work with older students and younger students as well. And then they will get a completion certificate and a button that says they are a Butterfly Pavilion junior naturalist. And then we also offer virtual field trip extensions. So that'll be a 15-minute virtual session before your field trip and after your field trip. And I will work with you to schedule those after the fact if you do select that. It is a great way to just extend learning and to kind of prep your kiddos too before you come on a visit. Scholarships, we do have limited scholarship funding available for Title I schools and schools on the federal free and reduced lunch program. So if you're requesting a scholarship, if you click no, you'll skip these next questions. If yes, just go ahead and fill that in. If you're not eligible, like if you're not a Title I school or you're not a public school on the FRL program, and you still need financial assistance, just reach out to us. Usually I'll pull my VP in and we'll talk about and see what we can do for you, right? We want to get you in if we can. So if you have any questions about that, just reach out to us. All right. And then finally, just, you're agreeing to our cancellation and reschedule policies, and then you are done. So, what happens after you complete that form? So, that comes to us. We will work on getting that date finalized for you, and we will send you a confirmation email and payment information. One issue that we've had come up over and over is our emails going to your junk folder. So if you haven't heard anything from us in about a week, it's been about a week since you submitted your request and you haven't seen anything, take a look in that junk folder. You can also work with your IT support to whitelist our email domain, which is butterflies.org. Most field trip communication will come from education@butterflies.org, but it could also come from me personally, or from other education staff members. So just keep an eye out for that. If you check that junk folder and you still haven't seen anything, just give us a call. It could just be we're backed up. It could be that our registration manager's on vacation and I'm dropping the ball. Anything like that. Feel free to give me a call. I'm happy to chat with you. And help you out any way that I can. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you and your students this school year.